Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're checking out another HG Witch from Mercury kit, the Michaelis. This one looks really cool, very similar to the Begier View, just in terms of the design and color schemes and everything, but it's got a Samus arm on it, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. So as usual, we've got some really cool gimmicks in there to go along with a very nice design and great construction, great articulation, everything we've come to know and love about the line so far, but this is another really great entry. I think it's going to be anyway. Let's go ahead and check it out and find out for sure. Okay, so checking out the box art here, you've got that wire guided arm right there front and center. Well, not center, but it's in the front anyway, taking up a lot of box art space there in the front, that weapon, which is very cool. It's definitely a really cool gimmick of this kit, but then you got the mobile suit there in the background. Looks really cool. As always, the painting style for the box art for these kits looks fantastic. The details, the lighting effects, the kind of subtle weathering that you get just from the kind of way that they're painted looks really nice. And then going on here to the side of the box, this is number 11 in the line. And then going around to the bottom of the box, here we have some photographs of the painted kit, just kind of recreating the box art there. And you'll get a look at some of the gimmicks, some of the things that you can do. There it is with that arm part actually attached onto the arm. Some beam sabers, you got some wire guided effect there for that. You'll have to use this on a stand, no doubt. This does say that it does include a display stand for that, so that's nice. I'm sure it's just gonna be one little display arm that you can use for that, but better than nothing. I'll take it, definitely. And then here's a look at how the kit is going to appear, just snap built straight out of the box without any painting or anything. Still gonna look pretty nice. On the other side of the box is just the painted sample, front and back, so you can get a look at the full kit there. A little bit about the pilot and the story here. And then we can go ahead and pop open the box. Pretty thin box, not really anything too substantial in terms of the size of the box for this one, just a few runners, which is pretty much the norm for this series so far. But taking a look at the manual here, you've got the same artwork as the front of the box, just minus the background. The information there about the pilot, and that's in Japanese and in English, in case you want to read up about that. On the back side, some nice artwork of the mobile suit there, and then the color guide goes down this side. That's there in Japanese and English there for all of that. And then we got basically the same images what we saw on the outside of the box, but some more information here about the weapons, the beam bracer, which is going to be kind of its main weapon there, and then we've got some more about the beam sabers going down here, and that's really kind of about it. On the inside of the manual, we've got the parts list here, which is in all color, which is nice. The sticker guide, the effect parts, everything you can see right on there. The first couple of steps of the construction are going to be in full color as well, but then the inside of the manual is just all going to be here in black and white for the rest of the construction. But up next, here we have the foil sticker sheet, which you can see this is just mostly stuff that's going to be going underneath clear parts. Again, like we've seen with multiple kits in the line, your kind of inactive and active versions for the stickers, so you can choose which ones you want to use. One little color correcting sticker right there, but that's about it, pretty minimal. And then we've got a single long black wire, which is 40 centimeters in length. So obviously you can cut this down to shorter lengths if you need, whatever you might need for this. So that wire, again, not really going to be able to hold up much of any weight at all, but it is going to look nice. Then getting into the runners, we've got runner CE1, which is going to be our just clear stand part there for the effect. Then SB6 for our beam saber effect parts in clear neon green. These are the smaller size 1/44 scale beam saber effect parts. Runner A is here in an off-white for the majority of our armor pieces. Runners B1 and B2 are going to be all of our mechanical type joint pieces and things like that, here in a kind of purplish gray color. Then runner C is also in a purplish color, less on the gray though. See the two compared to each other, you can see the difference there. But runner C is going to be all of our purple parts. And lastly, runner D is also in purple, but it's a clear, very light purple there for the clear parts for the kit, and that's it. Alright, once you get the kit all built up, here is how it's gonna look, just like all the other kits in the line so far. It's fantastic. So you got a lot of really nice things to love about this kit. The color separation, the details, the use of the clear parts, again, is really nice. And most of the stickers for this are just going to be under the clear parts. So it's very light on the stickers, which is always nice for an HG kit. You don't necessarily get a ton of accessories with this kit, and we'll dig into those here in just a second. But where it lacks in like the number of accessories, it makes up for just in the utility of how the accessories, or just like the gimmicks, I guess, basically of the kit, how the gimmicks work for this, which is really awesome. And I think that gives you more than enough incentive to want to pick up this kit and check it out for yourself. But let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be another kit where it's very low on accessories, as most of the value of this kit is built into its gimmick, which is the beam bracer there on its arm. But just to quickly, actually first I'll just point out that I have been having a little bit of difficulty with getting this kit to stand because he's quite tall and top heavy and on very small little feet, so it's kind of a little bit of a challenge to get him balanced just right, but it's definitely doable. So here's our two clear beam effect parts. One of them will go into this side. That's one of the spots where you do have one of your stickers here for the kit, just goes right there, but the beam effect just fits into that little shield right there on the side of the arm like so. The other beam effect, as you may have already guessed, fits right in there into the beam bracer on the other side. So just like with the Beggar Bu, this version has the swords on each arm, except in this case they're not physical swords but actual beam swords. Our only other accessory then is just going to be the effect stand and wire, so I've just gone ahead and added this onto here already. So this is going to be the part that you're going to attach the beam bracer onto, and then this part is going to be what's going to plug into the arm where the beam bracer came off of. Now of course you could attempt to use this stand to hold up the actual kit itself. It's probably not going to work out all that well. You're best just using this because the stand's like quite small and weak, and it'll do the job I think just fine for holding the effect, but probably not going to work that well for holding up the kit. So real quick before we take a look at that, just back to the note of stickers on this kit. Aside from that one there on the shield, where most of the stickers are going to be underneath the clear parts, so here in the thighs, here in the shoulders, and then here in the head. And that one in the head is really quite nice. It catches the light nicely, and the ones under the clear parts there in the shoulders and in the thighs as well, in combination with the clear parts, the mirror effect of those stickers looks pretty cool. You do have that cool clear part there at the chest as well, with sort of a built-in cockpit seat right into there, which is a pretty nice detail for a 1/44 scale kit, but no sticker or anything under that. The rest of our stickers are going to be on the inside of here. Now you have active and inactive versions of these. You have a set that's just plain black, but I figured probably not really worth putting those on, so I just went ahead and put these ones on. They are a little bit challenging just because you're putting like 3 stickers, so 9 of them in total, into here, and you have to kind of wrap them around the inside detail of this. And so I would highly recommend using a toothpick for that. Place your stickers with your tweezers and then use a toothpick to kind of work the stickers into place is kind of the best way to go. And just in case you guys were wondering, yes, the attachment here for the shield here on the arm is the same as the Beggar Bu. So if you wanted to kit bash like these actual accessories here, like this part and the kind of gauntlet parts that that kit has, you can swap those easily if you wanted to do a little bit of kit bashing. So getting into the articulation, and then we'll test out some poses with the beam bracer. The head is on a double joint at the ball joint at the top and then a joint at the bottom of the neck, so you will be able to get a fair amount of upward mobility there of the head, but that's going to be about the extent of it, down to about there, and then of course side to side. Here at the shoulder you have a joint that will swing the shoulder to the front, but just because of the bulk of the shoulder armor, it's not going to move any further than that, unfortunately. You can rotate that up and bring the arm up all the way up to there, which is a very nice range of movement upwards there for the arm. And while that is great, unfortunately the elbow joint is just a single joint, which is going to give you a little bit more than 90 degrees, but that's going to be the extent of that elbow joint there. Very rudimentary joint. And then the wrist is just on a ball joint, but it's mostly just going to be rotating. Around here on the backpack quickly, it's not really much of a backpack and it doesn't really do anything, so that's just stuck on there, but I do really like the design of that. It's a quite cool and just interesting, unique sort of backpack design there. And while we're here, this back skirt also does not move, that's just fixed into place. This front skirt up here also does not move, but in between there, you have some nice articulation here, backwards and forwards here at our midsection. Side to side, no, I thought you would have a little bit of side to side movement as well, but actually not. Rotation here as well. For the hip joints, these are also going to be pretty standard, but you can bring the legs out all the way to the side, and then as you might expect, all the way to the front, no issues with that. A nice detail piece up underneath the back skirt there as well, that's nice to see. And just like with the elbow, it's just a single joint here at the knee, but in this case you do get a pretty good full range of movement there out of that. This little bit of knee armor just kind of floats loosely and that moves there on its own. This bit here on the side of the leg doesn't move or anything, that's just stuck straight onto there, so no articulation with that. But the ankle has a really good range of movement here, side to side, forward and back like that, just on the ball joint, but you do have a separation of the toe to move up but not down, unfortunately, there for the toe bend. And then up underneath the feet, it's going to be not very detailed They're a little bit kind of in the back, but the whole front part of the foot's just a big empty gap there, unfortunately. As for the beam bracer, now on this side, as you saw, these parts open up, and then you have this kind of little claw tooth part at the end, which also folds out. And these can just kind of be expanded out like this, kind of as much or as little as you want to separate those out. And that's a pretty cool weapon, I've got to say. This whole thing then will come unattached from there. Here is where you can plug that effect wire. Now, if you saw my review of the Garibaldi, I showed you guys what you can do to replace this wire with a piece of like gardening wire or something like that, which will allow you to hold up the effect part without having to use a stand. In this case, this is a heavier effect part, so it might not work quite as well, but it should work. As long as you're using like a shorter piece, it should work just well enough, and that effect part and that effect connection part just plugs right into there like that to hold up this part. This back part also just kind of has a bit of movement there, but doesn't really necessarily do anything other than that. So let's go ahead and see how that beam bracer looks in action. And yeah, it's a really cool effect. I do really love the look of this design. I love how just kind of sleek and simplistic the mobile suit design is with this one. You know, sometimes it's nice to have a lot of stuff going on and have like a big elaborate backpack or something like that and just kind of have a really colorful design, but I just really enjoy the simplicity of this one. It still looks like, it doesn't look like a grunt or anything, but it still looks sort of like an ace unit, but it has its own really interesting style to it that I really like. And then that beam bracer is such a really cool and unique weapon that it has on there, and I do like the fact that that adds some asymmetry to the design as well. So it's all really cool and interesting. So even though this kit, you know, like I said, doesn't have any like huge accessories or like a bunch of different various accessories or anything like that, you may think, oh, it's just kind of a little bit too simple for me, but I would highly recommend you guys check this kit out just for the style of it. I think it's just a really cool standout kit, just for how nice of a design it is. And aside from just like the design, the proportions of it, the details, everything I really appreciate about this. And then also I should point out to you guys that it has almost no seam lines, and if you stay tuned to the end of the video, I'll have a tip on how to remove the only seam line that you really have on this, which is going to be at the base of the lower leg. So that purple part of the lower leg right above the ankle, there's a little bit of a seam line on the sides of the leg there. So honestly, that's going to be a pretty quick and easy fix. And then after that, you know, it's going to be an easy kit to paint up because you don't really have too much else to worry about. You can just break it down, do a little bit of sanding anywhere where you got a little mold line here and there, sand down some of the surfaces just to get it prepped for painting, paint it up, and put it back together, and that's pretty much as easy as that. So it's going to be another one, and this has been true for a lot of the kits in the line. If you enjoy HG kits, which are really nice and really quick and easy kits to paint up, these kits are really great for that. So definitely very like sort of beginner friendly if you're just getting into painting. But other than that, guys, if you want to check out the kit for yourself, you can check it out at USA Gundam Store. The link will be down in the video description below, as well as all the other kits in the line and everything else from Bandai and mecha models, tools, paints, supplies, and all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video here today. Let's go ahead and check out our seam line removal tip. So if we take a look here at the lower leg, right there is the detail that I'm referring to, where there's just a little bit of a seam line right there, and you could quite easily just turn that into a panel line and then just be done with it. But if we go ahead and disassemble this, the problem that you're going to have is that these pieces are locked around the part that goes inside the leg, so that if you want to paint this inside knee joint and this part in a different color, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to do that. You would have to mask, and in case you don't want to have to mask that, that's what we're going to address today. So quite simply, these are all the tools that you're going to need. Just a set of nippers, which you already should have, some sort of just sanding stick or sandpaper or something. A part separator is highly recommended, although not necessarily really even required. And then just some glue. I recommend Tamiya extra thin cement. The part separator is just going to help us to get these pieces separated off of here, and here you'll see where the issue is, because these two pieces, once you have these glued together and you can remove that seam line on there, you're not going to be able to get them onto here because they need to attach onto the front and the back. So really simply, all we're going to do is just cut this in half and remove these connection pieces there. And we're going to cut this right here where I'm motioning, and then this kind of square eye-shaped tab right there, we're going to cut that off, and the one on the back, we're going to cut that off. And then this peg and then these little pegs here, we're going to cut those off. And this is why using an older set of nippers like what I'm using is helpful. cutting through this much plastic with a brand new set of single blade nippers can be a little bit dangerous. You might damage your nippers. Although this plastic is quite soft and it's really not that much plastic, so you probably would be just fine. I'm also going to cut a little bit out of this back piece, just basically this little section right here. Then those are cut out like that, and then similarly down here as well, these two little corner bits right there, also going to want to cut those out. So what we've done is just separate this kind of lower leg frame into two sections so that we can glue these parts. Let's go ahead and do that, and this is where the sanding stick comes into play, or sandpaper. You're just going to want to sand this surface lightly a little bit before you put your glue on there. That'll just make sure that your glue has better adhesion. What I find to be easiest is to hold the parts so that you have just a little bit of gap in between. And it's very similar to panel lining. The glue will just seep in through that line before you press it together. You want to press that, and seeing that little bead of glue coming out along the side, that's what you want to see. So once this is dried and we can then sand that down, we can then just slip this onto our leg right there. This lower part as well, we'll just use a little bit of glue to just pop that into place, and then that'll be stuck there for our ankle joint connection. I set this down for a little bit, gave that glue some time to dry, then came back and sanded this, and as you can see, it didn't really work to close up that seam line quite nicely, and sometimes that's going to happen. Sometimes the parts aren't going to be like super flush when you press them together, and there's going to be just a little bit of a line still kind of remaining there that you are going to want to then fill in either with putty, or in this case probably what I would use is just a little, because it's just a little bit, just super glue. So just use a little bit of super glue, just dab that on there. You need to give that some time to dry, and then you can use a combination of a file and or sanding stick to then sand that down to get that nice and smooth. But for the time being, you guys get the whole process. And so yeah, that should fit onto there, and that actually fits pretty snugly, but you can use some glue just to make sure that that's not wiggling like that. And our bottom piece will just press into there like that, and that is also pretty tight, but you could use a little bit of glue just to make sure nothing is going to go anywhere. And then, you know, in theory, once this seam line is cleaned up a little bit more, you will have all your parts separated, easy to paint, and you won't have to worry about having any unsightly seam lines on your kit. So hope that was helpful for any of you guys who do plan on painting this kit. Let me know how yours goes. I'm gonna go ahead and fix this up a little bit more, but thank you guys all for checking out the video, and thank you for liking, subscribing, commenting. All that is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, I hope you all have a great day. We'll see y'all later. Bye guys.